here's this kind of sounds you would hear. So you're just in your tent, it's quiet, and then the sheep is like, meh, meh, like that. And then you're like, okay, well, clearly somebody attacked the sheep.
We did talk about it, so if anybody
cancels or postpones,
canceled the Friday recording sessions, they have to pay $100
for each episode.
But she's cheating. You know?
I cheated a little bit, but the thing is, I gave you notice. I told you like 10 days ago.
It doesn't matter. It was a week, but
I'm broke. Don't ask me to give you $100.
Oh my God.
But no, this is true, because we said like Friday is our time.
Yeah.
Don't book anything else there.
That's true.
But sometimes I can't help it. Like, you know, the job, I couldn't tell them.
So how's your job this week?
So I was
been so exciting, I think.
For
stories.
6 days. Yeah, I put a lot of stories. Yeah, and it seemed that people liked them. We were in like the forest. We were on the beach in beautiful houses, all overnight. So like starting 5 p.m., ending in the morning. Every time we would finish work, we would sleep for like 4 hours, then go back to work. So everyone was just like, every day you would see them get more dead, you know, dead on the inside.
That's right.
but we all loved each other, and it was like a fun place to be. And such beautiful, like one place we were at had horses. One place was big farm, beach. You know, imagine being at beach for your job. Wow. It was so fun.
Okay, so a question. Was this a student movie?
This was another student movie. No pay, zero pay.
Really?
Yeah.
You're kidding me.
It's so easy for students. They can just not pay people.
That's right.
Just always lie, say your movie is a student, and then get free labor.
Oh, even if you're not a student, you can say that?
I mean, you can. I guess if people like you, they'll work for free, right?
That's right, yeah.
In film, a lot of people work for free.
That's crazy.
Because even the movies probably won't make any money. You know what I mean? So it's just a short film.
Yeah.
But they got a grant for it, so they got 10,000. That's how it kind of they paid for it, the food and stuff like that.
And the locations.
Although I think, like for example, the beach, they didn't pay for the beach.
Right.
Like they just
went.
But
the farm?
The farm was a friend's.
Oh my God.
You have to be smart. You know, me and you should do this too. Like a random house or farm that we have access to, we should go make a movie there.
That's right. Networking is so important. It's all about that, apparently.
Exactly, networking. Yeah. Just knowing how to like make people want to do things for you.
That's right, yeah.
I hate it because, you know what, yesterday I was cleaning my room. Okay, this is very unrelated. Like I was moving lots of stuff from basement upstairs. And then my parents, each of them were like, hey, do you want help? And each time I was like, no, I don't want your help. Go away. I don't know why. But then they would like give suggestions, be like, yo, you should put this here, stuff like that. And then I would get angry and I would say, just go away. And then I ended up spending the whole day carrying things up and down, only because I was too rude, like too mean to ask for help, you know? So you realize networking is important.
It is very important. And this past week, it hasn't been like the ideal communicating and networking situation for me.
What did you do?
I mostly like reflected and isolated myself.
That's good. That can be useful.
I guess, yeah.
So no library for you this week?
I did come here.
Okay.
Once, yeah. But that was it, mostly, yeah. And the same situation with getting like the temper and getting angry and all that. Yeah, same
Really?
here. Yes.
No way. Are we like, did we have the same cycle or something? Who did you get angry at?
Like everybody. Anybody who annoys me, like I'm just, I don't know. Just my mind. I have to work on it.
But you are really nice to me, so I don't know. Like, okay, me and Anna work together with this client. I won't reveal who it is. I think everyone knows. And like, you know, clients, like sometimes they get a little bit annoying. Well, they just like, they want what they want and they don't really care what we say. And so like, I always have to just take a breath and like, I'll say, okay, I'm not going to talk anymore. I'll just let Anna talk. Yeah. And then you do really well. You're like, yes, you're right. That's correct.
That's because that's what they say you have to do, you know? Also, like I always say that. I don't know why I quote this book all the time, but because it's a good book, I do that. The laws of
laws of attraction.
No.
48 laws of power.
So one of the laws is actually about the fact that you should not talk over, or I don't know. criticize your superiors, kind of.
I remember
something
that.
like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's one of the earliest laws. So it does talk about the fact that if you are an expert in a field, for example, if you're an artist or if you're like an engineer or whatever, you're an expert in one field, there is someone that funds what you want to do or is like your client. And at these times, you have to, when you're working under these people, they have the ultimate power, and you should not, if they like choose something and say something that you know is against the things that you learned.
You still can't be like, no, you're wrong.
Exactly, you can't do that. You can't. Because that will, well, the example that he had was a little extreme because it was in the past, but the person that did like criticize the superior was beheaded.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And I noticed that a lot at my job too, where sometimes my superior would make a decision that I kind of knew was wrong. For example, they would say, oh, we should drive the truck through this mud so it's closer. And in my head, I was like, you know, this is a bad idea. It's going to get stuck. But they are your superior. So you say, oh, that's interesting. Okay. And then what if it gets stuck? Like you just kind of give them suggestions.
Yes. Kind of like they think that it is their idea.
Exactly.
You have to do it like that. And this thing requires like a lot of self-control and being humble. You know, if you have a big ego, you're not going to be able to do that because you want to always feel like the
powerful, feel right.
Yeah,
exactly.
You want to feel like the smart one all the time. You want to prove yourself, like say, I'm even smarter than you. Look, I'm
exactly.
even smarter. Yeah, so that's exactly what you have to work on. Kind of like humility is kind of the ultimate power that you can have.
And it's the same with directors. Like, if you want to be a good director, you have to have no ego. You can't be like, no, I make the decisions here. You do what I say. If you do that, that will just make everything terrible.
Really,
And a lot of times I have the urge to do that, where I'm just like, well, you know, you're just like an art person. You don't get to say what we do here. But if you do that, then everyone hates you. You're stupid. Like, you have to learn to just, like, you know, listen to what people say. If they criticize, you just say, I'm so sorry. I'll make it work. It's your film. It's not my film. You know, just keep making other people feel more special.
I don't know how to manage this, you know, especially with so many people there.
I know.
Different characteristics, different people. Oh, how do you balance that?
I know, that's the biggest skill. And how do you ask people to do things? Like, how I ask right now is, I say, do you want to do this thing? Like, I say that, like, hey, Parsa, do you want to grab me that bag or something? And even this is not great. Like, it's my version of, like, being nicer instead of saying, go do that thing. But even that still is not manipulative enough, I think. Like, you know, like you have to somehow say something else for people to listen. I don't know.
Exactly. The art of words and, I don't know, communication.
Yeah.
It's just something we have to master, especially for someone in your field.
Exactly. And yours, yeah.
Yes, of course, like writing.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah. So
selling
that's
yourself.
like, that's been like the week. Dealing with people. It's so hard. I don't know. It's part of, like, one part is experience. Of course, we lack experience and maturity. But also, I don't know. It's very hard.
And it's amazing. I think it's amazing that we're reflecting on this, though. We're realizing this is a weakness that we have to fix. Like, last night, after our meeting with the client, he just told me something. He was like, hey, I'm sorry. Like, sometimes I get too worked up when I explain something. Like I told him, hey, you were too mean. And then this is what he said. He said, yeah, I don't know how to control myself. Like, sometimes when I know something and I'm trying to explain it, I get angry. And I was like, I guess it's good that you know this. Yeah, we all have.
No, it was okay, actually. That meeting was not that bad.
It wasn't. But
it was good. We learned what to do next week.
That's true.
And we have to learn more about our field that we're helping the clients. So, yeah.
That's true.
About marketing. So there are different things that you have to learn. Yeah, we have to learn about it so we can help them more.
Exactly, because the thing is, like, we are selling ourselves as, like, the experts. But then if we say, oh, I don't know this thing, then he'll say, well, why did I hire you?
Yeah.
Learn it. But anyway, we'll do that. So tell me, you were isolating yourself this week. Yes. What were you up to?
I was mostly reflecting, watching movies, reading a little bit, writing, though it was really hard, but I tried. And, okay, so I watch lots of historical movies. Okay. I'm going crazy here. Why am I always in the past? Why do I like historical movies this much? This time I went so much far back, you know. I went to Middle Ages.
Oh, wow.
And to, like, the reign of Queen Elizabeth. Queen Elizabeth of England. At the time of, what was it, like 1557, something like that, I think?
When she had, like, the big red wig?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
She's the queen that had this really white face. Yeah, face. Yeah, like and this red big wig, something like that.
Wow. Which movie did you watch? Elizabeth?
Elizabeth, yeah.
That's so cool. And is that the one with Margot Robbie? Or a different one?
Oh, no, a different one, yeah.
Kate Blanchett, probably.
Yeah. Have you watched the Margot Robbie one?
No, but I've seen the other one.
Ah, I see. So, first of all, I watched the series Reign. It's called Reign. Of Queen of Scotland at exactly that time. You know, 1557, something like that, 1550s. And it's about Queen of Scotland going to France to marry the king or prince of France.
And then they fight.
Francis, whose name is Francis.
Yeah, and then they fight a lot.
And they do a little bit, but no, it's good. It's a love story.
Okay.
But this series is fictional, mostly. Yeah. But just the figures are kind of accurate.
Right.
And it was interesting because I watched that series first, and then I wanted to know more about Elizabeth because they talked about her in the series. So Queen of Scotland actually is one of the descendants of the England throne. Like, she would get the throne at that time.
Oh, okay.
Like, Elizabeth and Queen of Scotland were the rivals. So, you know, all the royals are kind of, like, related of Europe. So, yeah.
And then she got married and became Queen of Scotland instead.
No, she was Queen of Scotland. At first.
Oh.
Before even she was the Queen of France and Scotland.
Oh, okay.
So after the Queen of England died, she would get the throne also, like would get all the Europe. Can you imagine?
Wow.
But instead, the illegitimate daughter of Henry, I think, Henry, King of England, got the throne.
And that's Elizabeth.
Yes.
Oh.
The illegitimate child. Wow, that's crazy.
So the mom was a maid?
She's such a badass queen.
She is? Like, was the mom like just a worker?
I have no idea.
Damn.
Whatever she was, she just wasn't married to the king, of course.
Exactly.
And the thing is, she's such a good queen, you know, because at that time, first of all, can you imagine, like, it was England was Catholic, and she was a Protestant. And she became the queen. That was such a big change. And after that, she also changed England a lot. She reigned, I think, for like 40 years, 45, something like that. And she changed England entirely.
And I think she also never got married, right? She was just too busy working. Yes. Yeah, that's cool.
That's so cool. She's such a cool queen. That's why I wanted to learn more about her. So I watched a movie about her as well. Yeah.
I'll say you're kind of cheating because first I was going to say you are researching your book, but this is way before your book, the timing.
Yeah, so. That's true. But this is like the time that religion played an important role. And my book is about religion playing a very important role in society and dictating people. Yeah.
Okay, so it's like kind of research still.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you have a better understanding?
I do kind of, yes.
Amazing. Okay.
It kind of makes me more interested to know more about religion at that time and medieval times mostly. Whereas before I was like scared of that time. I don't know why. It's really dark ages, you know? When I think about that time, like, I just hate it. But these movies and series kind of helped me understand it better.
That's amazing. What other movies did you watch?
Well, I did watch, then I moved back in time a little bit in the future.
So cool. Aren't the movies amazing? You just
exactly
export It's a transport into that time.
Yes, that's so true. That's the thing about movies. And then I watched some movies about, well, the Victorian era, mostly, like 150 years ago. Something
the one that you told me about.
Yes, Miss Potter. Miss Potter is so cool because it's about a writer. She is a very famous writer, Miss Potter, that wrote the book Peter the Rabbit. It's very famous. Even I, who was in Iran, knew it as a child, you know?
The children's book.
Yeah, it was a children's book. Oh, it's just so good. And there's still actually a movie about Peter the Rabbit.
There
Have you seen it? Yeah.
No, I haven't, but yeah.
A live action kind of. It's so cool because she wrote that at that time and then she became like really wealthy just by those books, and it was really hard for women to publish by their own name, and she did it, and it's so good.
And I think, isn't Peter Rabbit the one that has like the really sexy woman that was wearing a red dress?
No.
Or that's a different one?
Oh no, that's not the one. That's a cartoon.
That's a cartoon.
Yeah,
Okay,
no.
I see.
That one is so very cool, yeah, Miss Potter. But yeah, it was kind of like a romance and things like that.
It was a biography of Potter.
I think
was
so.
it?
Yes, it was.
Which biography do you think was better, Oppenheimer or Miss Potter?
Oh, it's like comparing apples and oranges. No, they're not the same. But
the approach. What about the approach?
Of course, Oppenheimer.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, there's nothing like Oppenheimer.
I know. Yeah, exactly.
Just now that I think about it, you're reminding me. I'm like having this music in my head.
The thing is, you know, Anna and I did the Oppenheimer episode last week. Then
we watched
immediately after we went to the theater and watched it a third time. Second time.
Yes.
For you, third for me.
Oh my God.
And it was so life-changing still, because as you say, it's just a new approach, you know?
Yes. I haven't seen any movie like that. I don't know. It's just the music, everything just plays out so well.
Oh. Yes, and the editing is so like smart, you know, it's not just from one face to another, it's editing that makes you think of new ideas.
But I gotta say, Miss Potter that I watched made me cry so much more.
Oh wow, okay.
It's about childhood, it's about, I kind of related to the character a lot, and it made me think that, oh my God, I am a writer. Like, I have to. This is like what I'm destined for.
I see.
That's why I cried a lot during that movie, much more than Oppenheimer.
There you go. So that maybe means it's just as worthy of a film, because crying, I think, is the ultimate test. If a movie's good and it makes you cry.
That's true. Yes.
Okay, I'll watch Miss Potter then.
It's not that famous, but it's good.
It's not.
No, but it's good for someone that is like artists, for those that are like in those kind of fields or don't know, can't figure it out. That's good for them.
Yeah, and I watched a movie called Sound of Metal. It's also about an artist. It's a drummer artist who plays the drums so loud that he starts going deaf, and then he can no longer do music. Drumming is so bad for you, I think, because you're just so loud.
Oh, no.
And so
What
then
happened?
the rest of the movie is like him trying to get his band back together, trying to get surgery, like his girlfriend leaves him. But it's kind of like the same idea of this artist life. Not that I didn't watch it, I didn't think like, oh, I should be a drummer, because his life seemed so miserable.
Oh, wow.
But it was another artist movie.
These kind of movies, I've watched them a lot recently. I don't know why. It just happens upon me. Like,
I know, you know, somehow your brain knows what you need to watch.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean? Like, you just choose a movie, oh, I really feel like watching Miss Potter right now. It's just recommended to me on Amazon. And then you watch it and you're like, this is exactly my life. What a good choice to watch this right now, you know? It taught me so much. And it's the same, like, imagine with Titanic. Like, you needed to see it at that time. And it just brought some things out of you.
Yeah, it's all about the mind. It just attracts everything.
Yes.
Or it just kind of like when you are thinking about something or focusing on something, it just shows that or highlights that for you in your daily life.
Exactly.
For example, now imagine that you only think about red cars. Only think about red cars, and you want a red car, you want to buy it, you want to drive that. And when you go on the streets, all you see is red cars.
Exactly.
Whereas before you wouldn't even see anything, like any red cars at all.
That's so smart. Yeah, that's exactly true. When I was in middle school, everyone had Converse shoes. And well, not everyone, but like some people did. And I was like, oh, I'm the only one who doesn't. I feel so bad. Yeah. And so on my head, it was always, I need to get Converse shoes. And then once you buy it, you realize, oh, it was like 6 people who had it. I focused on those 6 instead of focusing on everyone else who doesn't. Just forced my family to buy me Converse.
That's right, yeah.
Terrible.
That happens a lot, yeah, that's right.
But you're right, what your brain focuses on is crazy. So what other movies did you watch?
What other movies?
More?
I'm trying to think.
What books did you read?
Oh, yeah, I did read The Count of Monte Cristo. War and Peace started that.
How was that?
War and Peace is very good.
What is it about? Like one person?
No, it's about different families. But I've just started the second chapter now.
I see.
But it's such a large book, you know, it's so big. And it's a big commitment.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I have to read that more, but it's so good. It's so worth it. It's one of those books that you have to really read. Yeah,
I'm really glad that we are doing this now. Same with Three Musketeers. I think everyone should read that.
Really? Is it exciting?
You know? Is it good? It is. It's so like it's so relatable. Even though it's about 3 musketeers in the, I don't even know, 1600s or something. The friendship that they show is between like 4 guys, 4 like 30-year-old, 20-year-old guys. And you're just like, oh, this is just like my friendship. Like they're just drinking all day. I don't know. They're wasting their money on betting. And then they go on like a campaign to, I don't know, save the queen or something. It's so dramatic. But the way they talk is interesting. Like one of them can't find love. The other one is just falling in love. Wow. It's like all these action adventure stuff happening, but at the core of it, it's just about a young man, a 20-year-old guy, like growing up and finding his place in the world.
That's so good. Have you watched the movie of it?
No,
Three Musketeers?
But it's so famous. It's everywhere, you know.
It is, yes. References. Lots of franchises are like... you know, cartoons have also made that.
Yeah.
I know, there are lots of them I've seen.
Yeah, I feel like there was a Disney cartoon too with the Goofy.
Exactly. All of these, it's very famous. I just wonder why I haven't even started the book yet.
Okay.
And have
I'm listening though. It's so much easier to listen.
Yeah. Next week we are talking about the writer of that.
Yeah. We're talking about Alexander Dumas, so we need to read a little.
He's so good, yeah.
But he literally wastes so much time in his books. Do you agree? Like there's a plot and then there's like pages of, okay, here's 2 people at a bar talking. You're like, oh, why are you keeping this in? It makes it so much longer to read. But
have you seen Count of Monte Cristo? It's so big.
No. Oh,
it's huge.
That's scary. Even on audiobook, I think it's 40 hours or something.
Yeah. It's a full-time job.
Yeah. For a whole week, you're right. Oh my God.
8 hours, you have to listen to that every day. Oh yeah, it's very hard. But
and then let me see what happened the rest of the week. I read a bunch. I was at a farm. Did we talk about the farm already?
No.
Yeah, see, last week we were just so obsessed with Appen. But I was at a farm where 500 goats were roaming free.
Yes.
And I had to collect them, bring them in, and there was no gates. You understand? It was just trees. Like you imagine taking a dog to a park and then the leash opens and they run away and you're like, dog, come back. But now this one was 500 goats and sheep all running in different directions into the forest. And I'm just one person, like I'm running as fast as I can around near them so that they would turn back. And you know, you're just tripping on the rocks and everything. And they're so fast, like these little animals. And so I'm just swearing. I'm like, fuck you, idiot. I hate you guys. You don't deserve to die. And they would never turn back.
Oh, wow.
And then slowly over a few days, I realized, like, just let them go. You can't control them. And also don't say that they're stupid. Like, just give them love and they will respect you. So then I started to say, oh, you guys are cute, you know. Come back when you want. And so then they would disperse, and then at the end of the day, they would go to the craziest places. Like 50 of them would just go into trees that I can never reach. Like I can't even go through there. But I was like, all right, either you guys will die or you'll come out. It's not my problem. God. And so I think it just made me a better human after coming out of that.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. And it was, it was just like 24 hours of nothing but my book and hanging out with these goats, barely any food to eat. And at night, it was really scary too, because it was
for
like...
For a week? You
for
didn't
a week.
Have that much food too?
I did have work to do, but I just didn't feel like doing my work there.
No, eating for food.
Oh, yeah, we just had like fruits. I ate like one chicken one day. Really little, yeah, lost weight.
Could you make fire?
Yeah, we made a fire twice.
Okay.
But
only twice, huh?
Well, because you're just so tired at that time, and I wasn't really that hungry.
We made fire more this week than ever.
Wow,
like in this year.
That's amazing.
Every day of the week we made fire in the backyard.
You have such a nice backyard. You need to use it, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So tell me, like, did you have the dogs there to help
Yeah,
you?
exactly.
There were 2 dogs.
2 dogs helped a lot. They're super smart. Even at night, they helped because, like, I would think maybe there's a wolf here or something.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't sleep because you hear every sound at night. And okay, here's this kind of sounds you would hear. So you're just in your tent, it's quiet, and then the sheep is like, meh, meh, like that. And then you're like, okay, well, clearly somebody attacked the sheep. And you just step out, and then the sheep look at you, it's fine. And then you go back in, you're trying to sleep. The 2 dogs start going, whoa, 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 whoa. And then you're like, okay, is there a wolf? Like, why are you guys so angry? And then you say like, Cher, be quiet. And then they get a little quieter. Oh, I thought this was to me for doing that. Then the dogs start barking, and you literally get scared because you realize, okay, if there is like 6 wolves here, 2 of them the dogs will get, the other 4 are gonna come eat me and the sheep. And so you just keep like, okay, what's going on? Night you can't sleep. But then you realize it's even worse for the dogs because all night they have to be awake, and whatever they hear, they have to start barking. So the sheep get scared. But literally they make sounds as if they've broken their fence and ran away.
Wow.
So annoying.
Yeah, and I think you got traumatized. You have all the sound.
That's so true. My dad was telling me, so your dad also, I think, lived in Ashaya at some point, right? Yeah. So they lived, like, literally at night, they would take shifts, take care of these goats, and, like, sleep in tents, our parents. And so my dad was telling me, I used to have nightmares because always, like, at night, somebody would start shouting, or, like, somebody would throw a gun because they thought, like, thieves were coming. And I was like, no, that's not true. Like, why would you be scared of that? And now I realize, like, I was only there for 4 days and I was still having nightmares.
Wow. And it was so... Okay, so the trees were in the farm? Like,
they were.
The farm had trees, like lots of trees.
Yeah, because it's a 200-acre farm. That's 40 kilometers. That's as far as my house is from your house. Just 40 minutes of driving with a car. It's still as big. And it's just like... all around it is big areas of trees where you can't even walk. There's bushes everywhere,
but
rocks.
That's not good for goats and, sheep.
That's what I said too, but my dad is like,
he has so
goats
many
eat
farms.
Trees. Yeah.
Why would you put them?
I know.
Put them there.
The thing is, if he fixes it up, it's amazing. Like if he puts a big fence and everything. But
so at night... Was there anything that, like...
He says there is, like, a thin fence around the whole 40, like, the 200 yards. But you never want to let them get that far, because then they'll never come back, That's like, imagine just walking goats from Newmarket to North York.
Oh, my God. That's so huge. Wow.
Terrible.
I can't even imagine. Yeah. Did the farm owner also came there? Landlord?
He came like twice, and then that's it. He just came for a few hours. One of the days it rained so hard, just like pelting, and I was wearing shorts in the farm, just freezing, and I had my book in my bag. My book is totally wet. And I was just like hating my life. You can't go back to the car because the goats are out here. And
I remember that day. It was raining crazy. And then you said that it was one of the worst ones.
Exactly. But we made it through. Here I am. I feel like a smarter person. And next time we should go together to that farm. What do you think?
That farm?
Yeah. Stay there together. Take care of the goats.
Well, your recommendation isn't really promising, but okay.
Yeah, I know. And there was no washrooms. I was just always in the forest doing my business.
Yeah, just nature calling.
Nature calling.
That's very good. Did you film anything for YouTube?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I have to edit that.
Oh, okay, nice.
Everything just gets put into my vault of, I have to edit that.
Okay.
Next.
If you want to see a video of her surviving in the forest.
And if you want to learn those lessons that I learned, I'll put the lessons.
The wisdoms.
Yeah. If you, first of all, like it, if you want to see, and then I'll have more motivation. And second, if you're an editor, please message me. I would love to work with you.
Yeah.
I have so many projects that need editing.
That's right, yeah.
Scary.
So just check out our YouTube if you want
yes,
to see.
yeah. Okay, amazing.
That's so fun. Yeah, I can't even imagine. I haven't been in this kind of situation before. I don't know.
I'll put you in a situation like this. Don't worry about it. So tell me, how was the fire parties?
Oh, the fire parties? Fire has this energy, you know? Iranians, ancient Iranians actually like kind of worshipped or like had religions around fire.
Yeah.
You know? That fire was a big part of their life. Fire has this energy, life, everything in it. It is dangerous, and it does like, you know, endanger the whole cities or whatever, whatever accomplishments you have. But it is also a source of like health, I think, because I was really ill before, a few days, and I wasn't really feeling good. I had a very bad, like, I was actually like yellow, literally yellow.
Wow.
Yeah, it was such a bad time. And then we did make some fires, and I went around it, and I felt literally so much better. And this is what like ancient Iranians did talk about. They had this tradition that they would like jump on fire, and they would say that my yellowness is for you, your redness for me. Redness is like a symbol of health, and it does really help. I don't know what is it about fire, but just it just makes you so much alert, so much healthier, so much happy, and every time it's like that. And I remember like once a year we always have around Nowruz, which is in the spring, we usually like throw a fire party, something like that. Iranians do it, and they jump on fire. And at that
fire
time,
party.
Yeah, fire parties. And then at that time, I'm always like, oh my God, this is so good. I have to do it every day, but I forget it.
Exactly.
But this week, every day we actually made fire, and it was so good.
The only thing is, it's probably bad for the environment. If imagine everyone makes a fire every day.
You know, there's so many factories and airplanes just going like every second that we're sitting in the backyard. There goes one airplane, 2, 3, 4. You know, every second there's just so many that I don't think.
That's true.
Especially if it helps your mental health. Imagine like a mentally ill person in the society would be more damaging than carbon dioxide, I feel like.
You're right. And the thing is, though, like, it's so nice to have a fire, and it's bright, and the heat makes you feel better, but then you smell so bad.
But it's good, actually. The smell of fire is smoky. So good, yeah. And it doesn't last that long. It's good. I like the smell of that. In my hair sometimes.
You do like it? Interesting.
It's very good. It makes me calm down. I don't know why. The smell of that fire.
Let's learn to make a fire with no candle. Like with no lighter. What do you think?
Yeah.
Just with rocks. That would be so cool.
It's really a life skill to do that.
Yeah. But I was thinking about life skills. So making a fire is one. Swimming is another. Let's learn that skill immediately. Then, like, let's say if we drown somewhere, we can save ourselves, come make a fire, heat up.
The other day, I went swimming with my brother.
Oh, nice.
And, oh my God, I've never seen someone swim like that. He swims like penguins, dolphins.
So really amazing?
Really under the water. It's crazy how he swims, like doing like crazy stunts and things like that. And I'm like, well, how do you do that? You swim exactly like animals, you know. It's really good.
Like he does this thing, right?
Underwater.
That's like, so good.
He goes different, like he does things that I've never seen even before.
The thing is, he grew up somewhere where there was like a lake near his house, right?
Yeah.
And he just swam every day. That's amazing.
Not really. No, I don't think there was like, you know, Iran doesn't have that much water sources right now. So if they would go once a year or like twice a year, they would go to.
He just has a talent.
They would go to sea. Like a trip that they had, and he would. I think he learned there. But he would spend the whole day in the sea, like in the beach.
Still, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It is very cool, yeah. I don't know how you learned that. Just going underwater swimming.
I mean, you know how you could do that? If you let the air out of your stomach, then you'll go under. But then, of course, this thing, I don't know how he does that. He's like,
different things. I don't know. I have to go another time. He doesn't teach me these things.
Wow.
Yeah. So, we were going to talk about Adaptation today.
Such a cool movie. I recommended this like a couple months ago when we first came up with the idea of doing adaptation theme, because it's like the most iconic movie about this topic in my opinion.
Is it really famous?
It is, yeah, because it won an Oscar and everything.
Oh,
you know?
wow.
But so cool. I'm so glad you read the script and watched the movie.
Yes.
That's really amazing.
It was such a crazy, great movie. I don't know. I did not expect that. Yeah. It just breaks every rule possible in screenwriting, in movie making.
In a way, it breaks every rule and it also adheres to every rule.
Yes.
It does both of those. What did you think overall the movie was about? Like, after you watched it, what did you think? Orchids. Okay, that's a good guess.
It was about the movie is literally about adaptation, you know. I thought about it like the adaptation that it said, like, is in the title. It's just about the fact that this director is adapting this book into this movie and it's really hard. But no, it's all about adaptation, like the adaptation of a species, different like natural species over time to their environment, and about adaptation of people into like different situation and things, like how they change their behavior, something like that. So it was such a cool movie, I think. And during this whole movie, I thought the whole time, how would I adapt this kind of book?
Right.
I was just thinking that, and I realized that he did the best possible thing that he could do. Like, the best version of adaptation of that book would have been that movie, you know? I don't think there is any other way that you could adapt that book.
That's a cool point.
Because the book is about, what was the name? The Thief?
The Orchid Thief.
The Orchid Thief is not really, it doesn't have a character.
It's not a plotty
There's
book.
no plot.
Yeah.
It's just a report, right?
It is. It was based on a journal report of this one guy who got, who did a trial because he stole an orchid.
Yeah.
And it's just about him after this trial, basically.
Yeah.
The whole book.
It just doesn't have that kind of structure or anything. I didn't read the whole thing, but until I did like the character of that guy.
Exactly. LaRoche, yeah.
Oh, very good.
Everyone says that in the
he's
screenplay.
Funny. Yeah. Everybody says he's funny. He is funny.
Yeah.
So cool.
And he's a real guy. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Like,
these kind of people
blows my mind.
So cool. So this guy in the book that Susan talks about, Susan is the writer, right? So he is like obsessed with collecting things, and he gets obsessed about different things in different periods of his time. Since he was a child, I think he got obsessed about turtles, and then I don't know, different things.
Yeah, like posters or something. I forget.
Posters. He would collect the shit out of them, you know?
He would want to become the master, like the most important person in that field, basically.
Oh, yeah. That's so crazy. He would get obsessed about any field that he would just put his finger on. And then he would rapidly also fall out of love of these things. Like, once he just said that he doesn't like turtles, he wouldn't even go to the ocean, even though he loves the ocean.
Exactly.
He hasn't set foot in the ocean for like years now.
There was a quote in the book, I don't know if it was in the movie too, where Susan says, "I thought John LaRoche was such a different person from everyone else because of his obsessions, but now I realize he's just like everyone else, but more dramatic." And I think that's so true, because he got obsessed with a few things and let them go. That's all of us too.
Yes.
You know, like, let's say you are obsessed with writing your book right now. You keep working on it. I'm obsessed with making my film. It's like, oh, the most important thing in the world. I'm going to learn more about it, watch these movies. But then one day you might fall out of love with it. For example, somebody wants to open a restaurant. They're obsessed with it. And then one day they're like, okay, I can't. I'm going to do something else.
That's literally what happens. Yes, he's the extreme, but that happens to all of us. Like, especially, I don't know, it happens a lot to me too. Like, I'm obsessed with this thing, and the next thing, or I say, I want to do this for my life. Like, I want to go be this person, do that. And then the next day I'm like, no, I hate that job. I hate that kind of like career. I want to do something else. And it changes all the time that I'm just, even if I am, like I do find something that suits me and is good for me, I'm not sure. I have my doubts. I'm like, what if I just say that I fall out of love?
Yeah.
With that too.
Exactly. And the thing is, that's what they're showing as being worthwhile. Like Susan herself, this reporter, they show her as, in the story, as being like, she doesn't like anything, she's bored with her life, so she wants to be more like John. And I think that's true with like all of us in life, where if you don't have that one thing you're obsessed with, even if it's stupid, like flowers, orchids, then you feel like your life means nothing. Whereas when John was pursuing those flowers and going into the Fakachi forest, like his life had meaning. But then you remember at some point he just gives up that as well. He goes into pornography. Yes. And Susan is like, no, what are you doing?
That's amazing.
Just keep following your goals.
At least you can make money off that.
Yeah, that's true. And this is a guy who wrote screenplays himself. But he's saying, oh, I'm a bad writer. I will never write again. I'm sure everyone hates me. And you think, okay, if this real writer is also feeling that way, then of course me and you who are just starting out are going to feel like, oh, we don't know what we're doing. We don't know what we're writing about. Like even he, until the end of the story, he's always like, I don't know what the story is about. I don't know why I'm doing this. I want to give up. And then he ends up, putting all of that into the story. So cool.
Such a good movie. Like everything that he says, like his thought processes are just so real. That's how the mind works. That's how it is. Like it always criticizes you. And it just makes me think that, okay, everybody's mind is the same. Okay, everybody's mind is just so negative. It's just a matter of how much you allow the mind to say these things to you. Otherwise, like, the mind is by default like that.
Exactly.
By default, it's just negative and would say these things to you. And I wonder, at the time that he made this movie, was he a famous director?
He was a famous writer. Yeah.
A writer.
He was. Like, he literally talks about the screenplay he wrote before this one in this.
Yeah.
He says, yeah, they're making my other screenplay, Being John Malkovich, into a movie. I'm not a part of it. They didn't invite me to set. And that's probably how it actually happened.
That's right.
So weird. Yeah, so he is a famous writer. He's given this job to adapt this book. And then he writes himself into the book. And then he talks about how that's really narcissistic in the movie.
Oh my God. That quote was so real because that's exactly what I think. Every time I'm writing, I always put myself in it. I don't know. It's like I'm answering if there's a dialogue. I'm the one that's talking. If there is like a characteristic or like a character there, I put myself in there. And I'm always like, why am I this narcissistic?
Exactly.
What is it? Why do you have to put yourself there all the time?
And you still do a good job though. Like you have a male main character. That's good. It's a start.
Oh, I don't know even. Like, even though it's a male character, it's like my masculine side, I feel like. It's like every character is just me, like different versions of me. And it bugs me all the time. I feel like it's so narcissistic. And I'm like, why can't I think outside of myself? Why can't I think of the world? Like, just outside of this box, that is me. Just think of other people.
Exactly.
How egotistic can you be? Like, why? Why do you do this?
That's what I did too. My story is about this girl who's writing a story about her mom.
Yeah.
And that's me. I'm writing about myself, writing about my mom. Like, so stupid. But also, then you see a big artist like Charlie Kaufman doing it.
Yeah.
And you think, maybe there's something to this.
Yes. I think writing is about that. You can't write outside of yourself, really. It wouldn't be the truth. I've heard a lot about writing is all about the truth, writing the truth. And if you're not writing that, it's not worth it.
Yeah. What's the point of anyone reading it?
Exactly. And it has to be from your experience. And it has to be a part of you, basically, that you are vulnerable and you wouldn't like normally show. Like you have to basically feel that you've been stripped. You're naked in front of a big audience If you don't feel that when you're writing, or feel that about your writing,
then it's not personal enough.
No, it's not good enough, I think.
That's a good point.
It's not what I say. I've heard that as well from a very famous writer too. I don't remember his name, but yeah. So it was so good to hear and see that actually in action. His awkwardness and the way that he was like behaving, it was so in the extreme. Yeah. But I could very much relate to that. Yes. In the parties, he would go to the parties and he was always like shy in the corner. He couldn't express his feelings. I love that scene when he's like in his head, okay, now go and like knock on her door and kiss her and something like that. And he just drives away.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
That's so real because I think that all the time. Like, I'm like, go make your move, go talk to him or go do that. And then I just go another way. It was so funny and so real. Yeah.
What do you think is the reason he made up all these facts? Like, why do you think he made up his brother? Because he doesn't have a real brother.
Yeah, I was thinking about that last night, and I think it's like another version of himself, you know? For the longest time in the movie, I don't know why, I thought that this was just in his head.
You did?
I thought it was his mind, yeah.
Oh, nice.
And until, like, I was like, during the movie, why do these people talk to this man? Like, do they see it? Or, like, is it all in his head? That's what I was thinking. Until the end that I really... Not the very end, but I realized that they were twins.
That's interesting. So you kind of, like, guessed what it was actually about.
I think so. And then after it ended, and I realized that he doesn't in real life have a twin brother or a brother at all. Yeah. So... I was like, okay, yeah, I think that was, the brother was his mind, like, the cool version of you, you know, you have this part of you that's, like, smooth with people and is, like, always telling you, like, what to do, and I felt like, it was, like, kind of made up in his mind.
That's such a smart idea by the writer, though, because it lets you your main character to talk to himself without it being all voiceover. And those interactions were really funny every time they talked to each other. That guy's always like saying, go to this Robert McKee seminar. I swear it's helpful.
You know why I thought, at that point, I thought that was the mind, you know, his mind. Because that's what my mind does too. Like, go to this seminar, pay for this courses. I'm sure, like, it would help you. And there's a part of me is like,
you're a cheater.
These people are, these people just want to, like, these are schemes and, you know, quick, get rich quick schemes and things like that. And there's no shortcuts. And I have to, like, do it my way. And there are so many artists that they just broke the rules and they did it their way and it worked. So why should I go listen to someone like that? I always have this battle with myself. You know, I want to take a course of something and I'm like, no. On the other hand, I say, no, I can't do that. And it was like, I knew at that point, that's the mind talking, you know? The part that just wants to spend for these things or wants the shortcut, kind of.
But what did you think about what the guy said, about what Robert McKee said in the movie? Well, the advice that he gave. What do you think about it?
The life does. He said that nothing happens in real life, something like that.
Yeah, that's.
And he said nothing happens in real life.
That was a cool
I think
speech.
It was very true. Especially the thing that he said that every day there's like corruption. Every day there's like a person dying. I don't know, on some religious institution, something like that. He said that's very real, especially, maybe not in your everyday life you see those things, but it does happen around the world. In Iran, it happens in Middle East, it happens in Asia, in Africa, in all the countries, even here, I'm sure. There's poverty, there are people that get cheated on, there are
that's what he said.
Love affairs, everything that happens, and it's just human nature, and it's tale as old as time. These things always happen, and it's very true.
But it's a valid question that the Kaufman asks too, because I always used to ask that too, be like, what if you want to make a story that's just like real life, like it's not so dramatic, it's just basic things happening, people talking. But then what Robert said is right. Even this, every day in life you learn new things, or like you learn what you did wrong, you hate yourself. these are all interesting story ideas. So you can never make a boring story, or you shouldn't.
You know, it's not a matter of like real life is boring and nothing happens in it. It's about the person, like the character. You know, the character. If the character's life is kind of like on the boring side, I don't know, it would be a boring story.
Yeah.
But it's not boring though. Like, if a character is shy, reserved, then he's always at home. The battle is mostly the conflict of the story is going to be between him and his mind. You know, even if he's in just a room. Like, imagine just a movie about a guy that is in a room. You know, in one room. The battle is going to be between him and his mind, of course. So, yeah, people always struggle, and life is full of struggle, even if it's, like, apparently boring. Nothing happens.
And I love that everything the guy said was true. Like, even if Kaufman hated it, Kaufman was like, oh, you're so fucking stupid. Like, of course stories have to be this. But it was just interesting that the writer chose to put everything that McKee says is good advice.
And he did use it.
Yeah, and
in his final, you know. It's such a, like, I don't know. It's such a tricky movie, don't you think? It's very tricky. I don't know even how they wrote that and how they actually made it, you know?
I know. It's so puzzling. Like, it's such a puzzle of a movie to put together.
Exactly.
Like, for example, if you remember, do you remember the first scene?
Yeah, the first.
It's such a random scene. It's just of universe. Right before that, it's just like showing Los Angeles 4 million years ago.
Yeah,
you know, so random,
and it's so low quality too.
Yeah, so and then right after that, it goes into the writer saying like, "I hate myself, fucking like I'll never get anywhere." And then the scene after that is him meeting with Valerie, and then he says, "Oh, I don't want to do the same thing. I want to do something different." And then right after that is the first scene of the book, which is LaRoche going to the flower place. So it's like the way this guy structured it is so just perfectly balanced between the book, what happens in the book, what happens in his life, and then intercut it together until exactly like 3/4 in where the book finishes. So the last scene of the book is those two, the girl and guy, like LaRoche and Susan, go into the forest. They try to find the flower, and then they never find it, and they leave. And that's the end of the book. But then this movie has a whole other version that he came up with.
I think there was like, at that point, there was 1 hour left to the movie.
I know.
Well.
Yeah.
It's like, what's going to happen now? Now that the book finished, what are they going to talk about?
So what did you think about him like making up so much stuff that is not true?
It was so exciting. Just shows the imagination that it had. And it's something that, it's dramatic, of course, but it would happen, I think. Like, not like that. Not like that, but it's just so good.
The thing is, I know what you mean. It was like plausible because as they showed, like those two, Susan and LaRoche, had some flirtation going on, even in the book. Even though Susan says, no, we never did anything. So it's almost like, yeah, you're right. It could have happened.
Okay, take the characters, right? If you think about the characters, these are kind of actions that they would take. Not maybe like the shooting or something, but they would take it that far. Okay, Susan was perhaps a bored character because, like...
She went into the forest for weeks to research this guy. Yeah.
Just his interest, you know?
Yeah, true.
So she would go there, and of course, I'm sure, like, okay, think about the characters, not the real people. They would have something.
Yeah, like they would just, at least they're spending so much time together. They would smile at each other.
And if they did, and if she was married, she would do anything to, like, hide that.
Yeah.
And imagine, like, she's, like, drugged, for example, and then he is like drunk or drugged and whatever, and then they see someone
who they recognize, who's gonna write about them,
and it's like a famous writer. Of course they're gonna like do irrational things. Yes.
And even the drug part was like realistic, because sometimes you can get drugs from flowers and this ghost, maybe it had a drug and then the drug just makes you super passionate about things. It was so cool.
But it was really, really cool. And it kind of makes me think that the brother, right, the brother of the writer that died was kind of like a part of him that died. Like, kind of like he killed his mind. Like, part of him that always criticized him, maybe, or I don't know.
Yeah.
He kind of like was born again.
He was born again after that guy died. Exactly.
He adapted.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like, and also like the other characters as well. The LaRoche character is very alive. He's very alive. He's in touch with life itself. Susan is not. That's why he's drawn to him.
But even LaRoche, I think, is a failure, though, right? Because he keeps obsessing with things and then giving them up. So he's not like a... Even though he is alive, he's not a great human. Would you say?
What defines a great human?
Somebody who obsesses with one thing and then achieves greatness in it.
That's a good human?
Yeah.
Why would that be a good human?
Because, like, for example, LaRoche, if he had just continued getting the flowers, he could have created that little farmhouse that he dreamed of. He was like, oh, I'll change the world. I'll make these plants so everyone can have them. But instead, he just got fired. And then he went into like this dark path of pornography and website creating. And then he was like probably lived in a trailer house, you know, like he kind of gave up on his dreams. And nobody would have known about this other than if Susan went and filmed this or like wrote about this one guy. So we learned, oh, this guy could have been amazing. He's so smart. Like he says he's the smartest person he's ever met. He can learn so much fast. But just like everyone else, he gave up on his dreams. I feel like most people in life have dreams, of course, but most people give up.
But, you know, his dream is kind of like he wants to get obsessed about things and then pursue them and then get obsessed about another thing and pursue that, you know?
That's
just
true.
Because he doesn't add to the society, I don't think that defines his value as a human being or a great human. I think it's great enough that he does something. There are so many people that just, you know, don't do anything to make themselves feel good. My dad always says that the best thing that a human can do, like the best thing ever that a human can do, is to make himself or herself feel good all the time. Like feel good. Make his mood better, a little better.
That's true.
Than it is already. It's an art. And it's something that everybody should be able to do. And this is something that he does.
Yeah,
there are so many people that can't make themselves feel good and instead drown other people down with themselves. There are so many people that feel weak, and instead of making themselves feel better, they want to drag others down, you know, make others feel weak as well. So he doesn't really do anything to the society. It doesn't do anything bad for the society, so it's good enough.
I kind of agree with you now. Yeah, I changed my mind on that.
Really?
You're right. He's a passionate guy who gets obsessed with things, and that's worth living for.
Yeah. But Susan, on the other hand, in the movie.
Not the real Susan.
Okay, I was wondering, actually, like, how did these characters... Susan is a real-life person. How did she agree her character to be this
I know.
In the movie?
Actually, in the book, she talks about it. She said, I only met with Kaufman one time, never talked to him, just like actually in the movie, when they never met in the book. And then she said, like, I really didn't want to do this. It's terrible what things they're saying. But then I decided, like, everyone else let their names be used. Like, even Kaufman himself used his own name. And then he keeps writing about jerking off, and he keeps making himself seem so bad.
Yeah.
So Susan was like, okay, if everyone is doing it, then I'll say yes too.
Wow.
That's the only reason.
What about LaRoche? Did he also agree?
Yeah, I think LaRoche probably doesn't give a fuck. He's just such a cool guy.
Yeah.
But I haven't read about that.
Oh, wow. Yes, because the whole time I was wondering, like, because her character was made so bad, like, someone would watch that, and if they don't research or anything, they would think that, okay, this writer is this kind of person.
I know. That's the one thing that still puzzles me. I don't know how they got away with it. But
so crazy.
They did.
Can I ask you this question? I wanted to ask you, how would you have adapted a movie like this, do you think?
That's a good point, because You have to find out what the movie is deeply about, what the book.
The book, yeah.
Because the book, like, you can't make a movie about just orchids.
Yes.
But what I thought it was deeply about was, as you say, like, obsession and getting passionate about one thing. That it was like an exploration of one person's life into obsession. So that's why I think, as you say, it's an amazing idea that the writer wrote about himself, because he's writing about his own obsession with writing this film, literally. His passion in life is writing. And so if I were to do it, I think I would take a really similar approach, as you say, where it would be like, okay, what am I passionate about? What if I didn't have this passion? And like, for example, he even explored drug use. You know, drug use is mainly where people go when they can't have a passion in real life. So they go, okay, this will make me happy for the moment. And I will just like be excited about the wall, be excited about everything. So I love how he explored this. Maybe I would explore other things that people are passionate about, or just make them not passionate. Like, I might explore someone who is just depressed, maybe always in bed, doesn't do anything, and then they meet, like, let's say they meet the writer, or they meet LaRoche. Like, I would also change it in a way so that it would still be about passion in life.
Passion. That's very good. It's a good approach as well.
What about you?
The whole time I was wondering, it's such a hard book to adapt, really. And the writer did the best job, I always think. However, another way maybe would have been to, like, explore just the orchids, you know? Maybe, like, I don't know. It's like the history of it. Maybe, like, some points in history, as it said, like, in China or, like, Asia. Different people, like, I don't know.
That's fair.
So it would be one from, like, maybe 1,000 years ago, then, like, 500 years ago, and then, like, just parts of small stories until it comes to, for example, Susan and LaRoche.
And they showed, like, a few minutes of this in the movie. If you remember, they showed, like, this person died on the expedition of getting the orchid. This person, like, survived
so
this
exciting.
Right. So you would actually be more interested in that story, showing people in history.
Yeah, some, you know, just some small shots of stories, you know, some small stories of each of some families, some people's interaction with orchids and its importance, and it just comes to, you know, and they're all connected to each other. Kind of want to make them all connected to each other. I don't know. Maybe someone
ancestry.
Yeah, makes the orchid survive, you know, so it comes to present day, you know.
Exactly.
Something like that. I don't know. It would be, but still hard. It's so hard because it's not all about the orchids.
Yeah, it is not. Exactly.
It's really...
But the book does exactly what you say. I don't know how far along you read, but it's like, sure, it is about passion, but on the side, I'll give you a history of Florida. I'll give you a history of where did orchids come from? How did they start hunting them? Who was the hunters of the orchids? So all of this history, it was actually giving it in the book. But I wonder, this movie was only 2 hours, wasn't it? Like 1 hour, 50 minutes? Maybe they could have added another 30-minute section just with history of orchids.
Yeah, but it did a great job, really.
It was really tight. Like there was very little time wasted in the movie, you know, in the script.
I like the last scene of the movie where he talks to his brother, you know, before he dies, I think. Oh, yeah. They have this heart-to-heart talk with each other. And this scene is so special because the brother says that, okay, I think, what is it? Charlie says that, what was it? God. Oh, there was this time that, there was this time that you talked to this girl that you liked, and then she said, I liked her too, I think, something like that. And then, but she made fun of you after you left and confessed your love. But you don't care about what others say, and you don't listen, you don't hear these things. And he was like, his brother was like, I did hear. I knew what they said behind my back. And he was like, well, weren't you, like, sad that this happened? Weren't you angry? And he was like, no, this is my love, And she can't take it away from me. I can love whoever I want. And it doesn't matter what she thinks about me. It matters what I think and what feelings I have. I don't care what others think about me. That's such a good point. Like other people's like ideas of me don't define me, and that's such a good lesson.
This is the last page of the book, and I feel like it sums up what the book is about. You're gonna love it. So start from here. And basically this is after they go into the forest and they can't find the orchid. And this is what Susan thought.
I suddenly felt sorry for him, for having had his heart broken again and again. And then I felt sorry for everything. Sorry for the people who didn't win anything at the orchid show, even though they had groomed and doted on their plans. And sorry for the way the Fakahachi, is that how they pronounce it? Had been plowed and burned and stripped. And sorry for all the people who'd bought a piece of imagined paradise in the muddy stretch of the blocks. And for the Seminoles who wished they still lived in Cheekies in the wetlands. And for all the crumpled up bingo players at the casino. And for the hundreds and hundreds of Elaine bromeliads.
Yeah, I know. The flower names are so hard. Bromeliad.
Bromeliad. That turned out ugly and were dumped for the Leemore, who was just then on his way to Jacksonville with orchids in his van, but instead of seeing the drab interstate in front of him, was dreaming of his city of gold in Peru. And sorry for anyone who ever cared about something that didn't work out. And I felt sorry for myself for being lost in the Fakahachi strand with no idea of what to do. Then, like all sorriness, it hardened into something less stifling. And I suddenly decided that I would rather walk, no matter which way we went, than to sit here idle and frantic, spinning my mind like a tire in sand. I knew LaRoche wanted me to see a ghost orchid as much or maybe even more than I wanted to see it myself, but now I really wanted most of all to go home. At this point, I realized it was just as well that I never saw a ghost orchid, so that it could disappoint me, and so it would remain forever something I wanted to see.
That really hurt me when I read the book, because it's about somebody giving up on their dream.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's happened to you a lot. For me, it's happened. For example, I wanted to be a pianist, and at some point I had to decide, okay, I don't think I can make it as a pianist. And so then you're just saying goodbye to this dream.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought that was what the book was about, was somebody who wants something and then they give it up. Or like they succeed at it, one of the two.
Yeah. It's
so cool.
It is what the book is about, that's right.
Even though it's so random, like there's no indication that that's what it's about. It's just showing orchids and trials.
Yeah.
That's the one thing.
It's a kind of like a theme, you know. Orchid is the symbol of it, that's all, you know.
Exactly.
Maybe like a symbol of obsession and passion and a dream that maybe you never achieve.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or maybe you achieve it, but during the journey you doubt yourself and kind of like you have these struggles until you get there.
Yeah, and that's what the writer did basically. He doubted himself the whole time.
Yeah.
Okay, I have another page. So this one is when Orlean takes the drug. This is from the screenplay.
Right.
And then she starts to like get obsessed with the world and obsessed with everything, you remember?
Yeah.
I thought this was really well written. One, it's well written, and two, it's just like cool to see how someone would act if they're obsessed with everything. So, how about, do you want to be LaRoche or Orlean? You decide.
I love LaRoche.
Okay, you be LaRoche, I'll be Orlean. So, Orlean at this point has taken some drugs and is like kind of high and obsessed with everything. So she calls the operator. She's like, okay, you have a great night. Orlean hangs up, stares at the ceiling. She imitates a dial tone. The phone rings. She listens to it, forgets to pick up the phone. Finally, she remembers. Hello?
Hi, it's John. Did you get my package?
John. Hey, John. Do you know what notes are in a dial tone?
I could figure it out. I have perfect pitch.
Oh, that would be so helpful.
I'll get right on it.
Oh, don't go yet.
Okay.
There's a pause. Orlean fingers the phone cord. John, I'm very happy now.
I'm glad.
There's a pause. She studies her feet. Johnny, did you ever wish you could use your toes just like fingers?
Sure, all the time.
That's amazing. You know what I love about this? First of all, they never talk like this to each other in the book. Like, she never says, John. It's always LaRoche, you know?
It's never Johnny. Oh.
Exactly. It's not Johnny either. But then, here, like, they show, oh, maybe if you take a drug and if you, like, choose to just really get connected to someone, like, for example, I could say to you, Anna, or I could be like, oh, Anna, hug you, you know, like, you get obsessed with someone. And that, he showed that really well with the writing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So cool.
And then I also love how, like, LaRoche is so likable here. You know? Like, so if I'd brought the previous page, you would have seen Susan calls the operator, is like, what notes are in your dial tone? It's like, beep, beep. What note is that? And then the operator's like, I don't know. What are you talking about? And ends the call. But then when Susan says the same thing to LaRoche, he's like, immediately, I could figure it out. I have perfect pitch. Like, it's so cool. He's just, as soon as that guy says, he said, I'll be on it, you know. Yeah. I'll find it for you.
This is like these kind of, I know, right? This kind of personality is so seductive. Yes, for sure. Openness is seductive. Yeah. Liveliness is seductive.
Exactly.
It just draws people in, especially women or people like Susan that are like really close-knit and don't express their feelings that much.
Exactly. Yeah. It's so weird. Like, as soon as she takes a drug, she's like, oh, my toes, I want them to be happy. It's so weird.
Yeah. There's actually this thing about, I saw a video that talked about ancient Iranians again. I don't know why I'm talking about that today a lot. And it said that Iranians, when they wanted to make a decision, they would have 2 meetings. And in one of them, they would talk rationally and sober, and in the second one they would drink a lot.
What?
So when they did that, in the sober one they would talk, like, they would express their rational feelings and thoughts, and when they were drunk they would say their actual feelings and their actual thoughts, you know, because when you're drunk everything slips out. And the same is true, like, with Susan here, that now that she is, like, really drugged out, you know, she just says whatever that's been suppressed.
Makes her feel. Well, how do they make the decision while they're drunk or the next day?
Next day, yeah.
Amazing.
It's so good, isn't it? So you expressed your actual suppressed feelings and thoughts, and you expressed your rational thoughts, and now you can think, like,
make a good decision.
Which one,
And they did that with other people, so that's smart. Because if it's just you, then you'll get drunk and make a bad decision. Amazing.
It kind of makes me want to do it the next time I want to make a decision, you know?
Yeah. That's so good. Okay, I have a little half page. So this one is just to show the desperation of the writer and how you can lie to yourself sometimes. Like, sometimes you can lie to yourself, say, what I'm doing right now is productive, but actually it's not. So that's what he did. You be Kaufman, and I'll read the descriptions. So Orlean sits by herself. This is a restaurant. Kaufman is like watching this writer instead of going up to talk to her. He's just watching from the corner. Orlean sits by herself, reading Vanity Fair. Kaufman sits few tables away. He scribbles in his notebook.
Reads Vanity Fair. Funny detail. New Yorker writer reads Vanity Fair. Use.
A waitress brings a tuna sandwich and an iced tea to Orlean.
Likes tuna. Drinks iced tea. Character detail. good stuff.
Orlean looks up from her magazine and smiles at the waitress. Thanks, could I get some lemon, please? The waitress nods and leaves. Kaufman scribbles.
Likes lemon in tea, and her voice is not at all what I imagined. Interesting.
So fucking, instead of Kaufman going up and talking to her, researching, he's watching from the corner, and he thinks he's being productive. He's like, oh, she drinks iced tea. That's a great note for my book. Like, that reminds me of when you research too much instead of just going into writing. Like, you're just like, oh, they used to wear red clothes.
It reminds me exactly of myself. You know, I sometimes go to the malls and then just take out my notebook and look at people and see, like, okay, just look at some people. I want to see interesting characters. So I take note of this person. Oh, he's eating chips. He's eating it in a funny way. Like, you know. Yeah, or, I don't know, different things. It's just so creepy. I don't want anyone to see what I'm doing, but at the same time, I'm saying it's interesting stuff. It's very cool. That's good that I got.
But it is actually. You're right, though. It is interesting stuff. Don't feel bad.
Because you get some really funny people. You know, some people have some funny styles, or the way that they eat is kind of different, or like what they eat is kind of interesting, or their interaction with their friend is so cool. Yeah,
people are really funny without even knowing it.
People are very funny, yes. Humans are cute, funny creatures.
Now, this is a one paragraph. I love how Kaufman says, I don't want my story to be this, this, and this. And then at the end, it's exactly what things that he said he doesn't want it to be. So cool. So it's from here. You be Kaufman. Okay, I'll be Valerie.
Or changing the orchids into puppies and turning it into a movie about drug running. You know, why can't there be a movie simply about flowers? That's all.
That's what we're thinking, definitely.
Like, I don't want to cram in sex or car chases or guns or characters learning profound life lessons or growing or coming to like each other or overcoming obstacles to succeed in the end. You know, the book isn't like that. Life isn't like that. It just isn't. I feel very strongly about this.
That's amazing. Every single point he makes comes back into his story. And this is page 6. So right at the beginning, he says, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do it. But then his story evolves into it.
Yeah. So the guns and drugs and sex and everything.
Yeah, so cool. These are some things that I love about this script.
It was so cool. Yes, I love reading scripts. So fun. But, you know, I don't know. How come I haven't heard about this movie before? Is it too old?
It came out 2001, so 22 years ago.
Oh,
maybe
2 years before I was born.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So, yeah.
But still mind-blowing.
It's very good.
Like, I would never use real people in the story. I feel like that makes it so complicated.
Yes. They actually recommend that you should never use real people's names. It's kind of like, isn't it against the law or something?
I think it is, yeah.
How did he
defamation.
do that?
Yeah, I guess maybe he got permission from each person, or...
Especially Susan.
Yeah, exactly.
Defamation.
Exactly. Isn't it so weird that they never met? They only met one time, or they never met. Like, you're writing a book about this person. Why don't you meet him? Or meet her, I mean.
Yeah.
Like, you're writing a screenplay. But it's his choice. I don't know. He wrote a good script.
Is he this awkward in interviews or something? I haven't seen his.
Interesting. I haven't seen his interviews, but his movies are always really weird. Like, he made another movie recently about a girlfriend-boyfriend going to see the boyfriend's parents.
Yeah.
And then slowly we find out that the boyfriend, there's something wrong with him, and the parents are weird, and then it goes into like animation sequence, and that it's like, it's super like weird. It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
But he likes writing cool stuff.
I really want to know about his character, if he's as awkward as he like portrayed in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's how he feels. I just know he's not fat. Like, you know how he kept saying, I'm fat? Yeah, he's
and
not
bald.
Fat.
Is he bald?
I don't think so. Maybe he's bald parts.
Yeah. It's just the way that mind works. You always criticize yourself. But that's good to know. it's good that how real and vulnerable he was. The way he would make fun of himself, the whole movie.
Exactly. He would show how pathetic he is. Most people wouldn't do that. He would show, okay, I'm imagining having sex with this woman, and now I'm jerking off in my bed. That's great.
Yeah, it's so real. Wow. And just to the image of her, and she's also very old
just to the image of her,
because you know that sex is kind of like a big part of inspiration. And even like in the book Think and Grow Rich, there was a part that is just dedicated, like a chapter to that, because sex is a big part, especially for men. It's a big source of inspiration. And
it's what drives you to do anything.
Exactly. Like, it's one of the, there are simply a few things that motivate people to do things.
Yeah,
and one of them is sex.
Exactly.
The other is the, want for greatness.
Yes, attention,
great,
maybe.
Attention, and feeling of greatness, things like that. And also
safety,
food
maybe.
and safety and things like that. Yeah. That's it, basically. Basically, anything else that we want, if you want money, you just want the same things.
Yeah.
Because of the same reasons. It comes from that root. You want money so you have status or something. But that makes you have the foods and the safety and the sex and the greatness.
I guess we are all some kind of animal species.
You guess? Wow.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Such is life. One day you're gonna die. But until then, we can keep collecting money and experience.
I was just thinking the other day, like, it's like humans are just another life form that is just aware of itself. Just a life form that is able to know that it exists, that it is life, that is self-aware. We're just like any other animal or any other tree or anything. I was just thinking about these things, like I was watching the trees and the squirrels and things like that, and I was like, how free they are. Why should I have this mind that I'm just trapped in? And they're free like that. I just want to be. Why do I have to do something? Isn't being just enough?
Being is not enough, though. That's the problem.
Being is enough. No. That's the problem.
But attention.
The problem is, no. What are you talking about? Problem is that we think that doing would make us feel enough, but it never does. You always want to do something else. You always want to do something else. You think you're not enough. You never get satisfaction from doing something, from accomplishing. Good luck feeling happy and satisfied by doing something,
But if you don't do anything, like, you mean being as in you just feel enough. What you have is enough, and you're happy every day.
Yeah.
But that doesn't last for humans. For animals, it does, because every day, okay, I'm going to go find food. I'm going to take care of my child, sleep the next day.
But they're doing things.
They're fighting.
They're not aware of, they're in survival mode. They're not being. Being is different. It's human being, not human doing. You have to just feel enough as you are, just as you are. And as you are, I don't mean by your flaws, because your flaws and your weaknesses are not you, again. That's your mind as well. So anything, strip away all the mind stuff and all these things, and whatever is left is you, basically.
It's hard to just learn to be happy being.
It's very hard, yes.
That's the ultimate.
Yeah. And it happens after you kind of have figured out your basic needs, and you are like, have you seen the Maslow's hierarchy of needs? You can only, like, after a few things that are figured out, your basic needs and then your love and family and things like that, after they are figured out, you can think about spirituality, you can think about self-actualization, you can think about just being there, just creating, just having fun, just playing, he was just thinking like, I want to do that next and that next. Oh, I didn't write the script. What am I gonna do?
I'm awful. Yeah,
I'm really awful. Yeah, I can't do that. Just jumping around. That's what the mind does. So
yeah, always in his imagination. I'm glad that at the very last scene he asked the girl out. You know, that was good news. He grew as a person.
He did, and it just shows that once you kind of like. There was nothing there. Like it was all in his mind that he was thinking like all these barriers and these things. He should have just showed his feelings. And what matters even if she doesn't like it?
Exactly.
It's about her. Like that's her
exactly
feelings.
That's what he learned at the end.
But it's very hard to do though. Like in real life for me or for you, if you want to practically think like that and work like that. Imagine like you see someone cute and then just go and talk to them.
Yeah, you're always crippled by this fear of them rejecting you.
Yeah, it's such a big one, fear of rejection.
Yeah. Oh, we learned so many things about ourselves that we need to fix. One, we need to not fear rejection. Just go for it. Love what we love. And then 2, we need to learn to be.
Yeah.
Instead of just doing things. Happiness will not come by doing things. And another thing is, I guess we need to learn to be nicer to people, like not have
the balance of like communication. I don't know. We have to learn that. How to see beyond what other people like want or what they feel. Kind of like see them through and talk to that, you know.
Yes, and ignore what they say, even if they're so angry and unresponsive. That's only because of the problems that they're working through. Learn to like not take it personally.
Very good stuff. We learned a lot.
Okay, let us know what you learned this week. If you had an introspective week, and I would love to learn from it, fix my life as well. Hopefully you also watch Adaptation because it's amazing. It's like so unique, a piece of art.
It is.
Each of them, the book, the screenplay, and the movie, each so amazing.
They could not be more different from each other.
That's so true.
Yeah. Just give it a watch and read the book and let us know what you think about it. So
check out
the YouTube.
Check out the YouTube.
The TikTok, please.
The TikTok, the Instagram.
Podcast.
Oh my God. We're so happy you're here.
Yes. Thank you so much for listening.
Following us on this little journey.
Yes.
So sweet. Okay, we'll let you go. Bye.
Have a great day.
You too.